Morning, guys.
Well, at this point in time, there's only you and me, David. But I'm sure people will show up shortly. Although we didn't put a notice
No,
out. So we'll see what happens.
that's fine. I've been doing wee experiments on doing this and that with a restream and YouTube and all the rest of it. And it's like I get people on then, and I go, look, guys, I'm just doing a quick experiment, like
We need
for
to learn on YouTube how to put how people get when they hit the bell notification.
Yeah.
We need to put a notice out saying we're going live so that they get a notification.
Yeah.
Really, getting a priority is going live. Max Milton, Brookspear, and all sorts and all these guys, they do that. They put out notice and well before they go. Hi, Mr. E. My roof. There's 23 people watching apparently.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we can get Facebook comments up.
I like that picture you put up the other day there, you and your brothers sat around a table. Where were you? Whereabouts were you? Were you at a pub?
We're in a road to Davies.
Ah, very good. Aye, yeah. Good picture. Your older brothers very like you, whereas your younger brothers no. I take it that's for your mother's side, is it? Or
Well, others in the family would argue it's the other way round.
It's the other way around, right? Okay.
The elder brothers merged with my mother's side of the family, and my young brother and I look alike would be the argument.
Well, I thought your older brother that was
here in the village, when my brother lived in the village here, they used to say to me, "You look like your brother." I say, "No, my brother looks like me. I'm older than him."
Fair comment. What was that?
And I tend to say to people, "No, I don't look like my brother. My brother looks like me. I'm older than him." I believe. So, anyway, we've got a few people watching now, so we're going to get into it. I'll turn this camera around if you continue to behave like that, young lady. I love you too.
Anyway, hi guys, how you doing?
Hi, good afternoon, folks.
You're for another blether, and it's like, well, what the hell? What else would you do on a Sunday? Do anyway, so. And you come in, you
and I do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
I know.
We just don't go live.
If you want to bring to the table, please get on. Let's have a comment.
Let's start with today's controversy. Matt Hancock and the care home killing fields.
Yes.
Right? Now, as you and I know, and as regular viewers to the Truck Davy will know, that even at the peak, after the first year of the pandemic, there was studies into this stuff held. Now, people, just to make it clear, Matt Hancock today has controversially apparently said that it was asymptomatic care home workers that took COVID into care homes. Right? Now, we've got to be very careful about how we word this, because YouTube's not keen on people speaking about the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So, now Matt Hancock today controversially has said that it was asymptomatic workers that took into care homes. And I have to say, for once, he's telling the bloody truth.
Yeah.
There have been 3 studies so far into this particular situation in care homes. One of the biggest care home networks throughout the UK called A1 Care did a study on it. And their findings was it was their staff who were asymptomatic that brought it into the care homes. Because you've got to remember, folks, when they were clearing the bed block in March, April and May of 2020, when the pandemic struck, there was very little COVID in the UK. And Scotland didn't really get hit with COVID until 3 weeks after England, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
So when these people were being moved from hospitals to clear bed blocking into care homes, it was highly unlikely they were taking it from hospitals to care homes. Highly unlikely. And we've had 3 studies so far that backs up what Matt Hancock had to say today. Even though the guy, I don't like the guy, but he's taking a pasting. And it makes a change for a Tory to tell the truth.
Well, therefore, the usual thing is where you've got an inquiry and there's a blame culture that goes on. in actual fact, in terms of pandemic, in that one, in that focused part of the pandemic, we can say that really, to be honest with you, where could I lay the blame? Okay, I could lay the blame at number 10 Downing Street because we're an island. They should have been controlling people coming in and out of the country at that time, same as New Zealand did, same as Iceland did, same as the Faroe Islands did, and all the rest of it, right? And that would have been more sensible. But as far as people getting moved out of hospitals, which they figured were going to be needed in the beds in large numbers, back into care homes, you can't say that that really was a fault because at the time that that happened, the time that they triggered that happening, there wasn't the influx of pandemic cases at that time. It wasn't massive as it became. And therefore, the people that went into those care homes, the place that they were getting the virus from was the people that were working round about them in the actual care homes. People that came in.
If you remember at the time, well, you're a wee bit late to watching my videos compared to a lot of people, and you've been my mate for 12 years, for fuck's sake. Pardon my French. But people who were watching my dailies during the beginning of the pandemic would remember me talking about the cuckoos in the nests screaming at the Scottish Government to clear bed blocking, to free up hospital space. And now the cuckoos in the nest are trying to say the Scottish Government killed people, but doing exactly what they wanted them to do.
Yeah. Well, they'll hope that people have got short memories as far as that's concerned, right?
I don't have a short memory, but more than that, I've got a ledger that's full of this stuff.
Yeah. The difference between the folk that work in care homes and actual registered nurses that work in NHS units, right? The registered nurses are trained out to do barrier nursing and all the rest of it, and they realise that they deal with one patient that is very sick with PPE on. They realise that they've got to rip that off and put on fresh stuff when they go and deal with somebody else. Whereas in the care home, when they take Mr. Smith his cup of tea at 10 o'clock and Mr. Jones his cup of tea and his biscuit at 10:15, then they're just going to keep the same things on. And therefore, if Mr. Smith has got it, or if any of their workmates have got it, then the actual the virus. I'll be careful there. The virus is being carried. It's crossing barriers, as it were.
I mean, let's get back to the point. The point is that Mr. Hancock, for a change, is a Tory, which is bloody unbelievable. It's telling the bloody truth.
Yeah.
And that brought. I mean, you have heard me being sarcastic about the Scottish COVID public inquiry, and what they call the bereaved families. We're all bloody bereaved.
Yeah.
What is it they want to achieve?
They're looking for a bit of compensation, I suppose.
I wouldn't be so cynical as that, David. I'm sure that they feel aggrieved at something. I just don't understand it.
It's maybe in the name of closure, whatever you want. You know, at the end of the day, it's like different people will want different things. Some people will be going, "Oh, we got a compensation here." You know, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? And it's not a case of
I better put this up because the Scottish Independence 2023 is absolutely correct. All of my videos over the whole period are still available. They're on YouTube. And Mr. Scottish Independence, put them there. So, no, folks, I'm no misleading you with what I say. And you have all probably seen the regular viewers. You know, I write this stuff down. I have got over 45 of these things full over the last couple of years. And I hadn't been keeping them up until about 2 years ago. You know, or no, but at the beginning of the pandemic, or just before that, I started writing the shows down when I was doing them for the truck.
Yeah.
And it's all written down, date, time, the lot. What the major things of the day were. I've got them all written down.
So what's the name of the book going to be called, Davies? Is it going to be called The iPad Complete?
Aye, why not? That's a good title, David. The iPad Complete. Because the job will be done and I'll be able to stop it. You know?
as far as Matt Hancock's concerned, look, I've got a watch in my drawer. It's knackered, but it's right twice a day. You know what I mean?
And it just turns out that Matt Hancock happens to be getting slated for being right and honest for a change. Which is really quite unusual for a Tory. Maybe a time in the jungle's done him some good. So anyway, what else are we going to talk about? Because as you know, folks, I've always got a bit of paper with something written down on it. I phoned for UK general election. Byline Times.
Yeah. Well, Martin Geisler was on BBC this morning, I noticed, with the guy that performed the poll, the one that gave us the 52%, also talked about the voting intentions for the Westminster election. And he very, very much followed the thoughts of David, myself, or we followed his, doesn't really matter, in that if the Westminster election is used as a plebiscite, then it could go badly, per se, because of the voting intention starting to beef up on the Labour side.
Labour side. David, before we go any further, I'll interject a wee bit and let people quite understand the complexity of it. General elections, whether it be a Scottish general election or a Westminster general election, are normally multi-issue elections in a manifesto. Now, what the boy for Scott Goes Pop was saying to Martin Geisler the day, as far as you're making me aware of, is that the main thing for the SNP and the Greens is to make it clear in people's mind that this is a single issue election and not a multi-issue election. Because when it comes to multi-issue, people want to go for winners. They might think that Mr. Starmer's actually got something to put on the table, which he intends to do today. But I don't expect the mainstream media to be trumpeting it, because they don't mean a bloody word there. But as I say, people, that's the point. Is it's the problem with a general election is that it's multi-issue, and that will divert people's attention away from the fact that it's a constitutional election only.
You know, we were, guys, we were sort of throwing this around prior to going live, and I described a situation where you might have a Labour MP or Labour hopeful getting up in front of a town hall and then discussing all the things that Labour were going to do and all the multiple issues that they were going to cover and all the rest of it, right? And then you just get one bloke in the audience stand up, well, what about independence? Does that not sort partly everything you're talking about? You know, and because of that, that would be a very, very powerful argument itself, being a single issue plebiscite. So I think where you could look at it and think, oh, things are very dark here. Maybe they're not so dark. Maybe it's not so far off us actually doing this either way. I still prefer it to be a Scottish election because of the franchise involved. You have people from European states who live here being able to vote. 16 and 17-year-olds being able to vote. There's a good argument for that. But it's more problematic in how we get there. One interesting thing that I picked up the National yesterday, and the reason I picked it up, I don't normally pick up a newspaper and buy it. It says UK voters say Scotland has right to hold IndyRef 2. It's quite an interesting wee article, and basically what's happening is people in other parts of the UK are now starting to get on side with the people of Scotland because they see it as being rather, can I say,
David, you and I spoke about this before we came on air, and the people of England, Wales and Northern Ireland are starting to realise the implications of the Supreme Court ruling. And basically they're Democrats. Whether we like the way they vote or not, they're Democrats. And they don't like it. But we'll get on to that. We're going to do a programme on it. We'll put up Lord Reid's 3 minutes and 43 seconds to create the colony of Scotland. And we'll go through it bit by bit and what each bit means for the constituent parts of the UK, not just Scotland, because you've got to remember that ruling applies to every part of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And the people of England seem to be waking up to that.
Mm-hmm.
They do seem to be waking up to that. Now, as you know, I was very disappointed 2 Wednesdays ago. You know that I was very, very down because I didn't see a reaction. But I'm starting to see that reaction now as people get over the initial ruling and the shock of the initial ruling. They begin to start to understand what it means for the constituent parts of the UK. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to see that coming through. I really am.
I think at the moment, what the Supreme Court have done is they've created a big smog, a smoke screen almost. I think as the atmosphere clears, there'll be a lot more.
We're beginning to realise, David, that what they did was create a prison on these islands.
Yeah, I know.
And we are all captured by an establishment, the state. And that includes England, Wales and Northern Ireland. And people are starting to wake up to that. Because as long as you believe that you have the ability to undertake change, then you have hope. When you're told by the law that you can't initiate change, and only the state can initiate change, that applies to every constituent part of the United Kingdom. People have to really listen to what Lord Reid's saying. But as I say, we'll do a whole programme on it. We'll get up the written ruling, and we'll play us 3 minutes and 43 seconds, and we'll go into it really, really deeply, because people really need to understand the implications of that ruling for the whole of the UK.
But I think in actual fact, my final feeling on that is that when all comes to all, when you've got some dozy old gits in a court saying what they're going to say, whether it be a political statement or not, right? People have got the final say.
Well, it went above political.
Yeah.
It placed the state above us all. It made it clear that we don't create the state. The state already exists and it rules us. And we cannot implement change. So that's exactly what that did. And if people don't understand that, then we really need to tell them about it.
Yeah, I know. But in the final say is it's people that make it. There's people that make a decision.
But that's not what the court said, David.
I know it's not what the court said, but the court are just an assembly of legal minds within a system that's been set up by Tony Blair and his government, right?
That's the same legal minds that set up the 1998 Scotland Act, the 2012 Scotland Act, the 2016 Scotland Act. You know, I dare say there's a few people that didn't realise there was so many Scotland Acts actually.
Yeah, I know.
You know, but what the Supreme Court said was absolutely horrendous for all parts of the UK. It placed the state above the people instead of the people above the state.
Yeah.
And that's slowly starting to sink into people right across these islands.
Scottish independence 2023. We'll get to that in a minute.
What's that?
Snelling.
Aye, we're going to get Snelling. In fact, David's going to read us a couple of articles just for fun. It'll be good. We'll get to that in a minute. But as I say, I suppose, as I say, people are beginning to realise that democracy is under threat.
Yes. It is. It's only under threat, though, if people don't react to it.
But they're starting to react,
if people just go, oh, well, fine, I'll what's on telly tonight, hen? Yeah, please, wake up. Wake up.
David, that's what I'm saying. I mean, a couple of weeks ago on Wednesday, I was horrified at the lack of reaction to what was said. But now I'm starting to see that reaction, and it's coming from all quarters, right across, and that'll bring us nicely on to Snarling. Thank you, Scottish independence. On you go, David.
Right, okay. Snarling says, English may say good riddance to Scots if indirect calls persist. And I'll read this out to you. I might as well. The Union could be lost because of the English growing tired of Scottish nationalists' constant calls for a referendum and wishing them good riddance, Baroness Arlene Foster has warned. The former First Minister of Northern Ireland, who is chairing a new organisation to fight for the Union, said that people in all four nations of the UK had to be reminded of its value. Speaking to the Telegraph, she said, "What worries me sometimes is people saying that if Scotland wants to go, let them go. It's not just Scotland that will lose out if they go, the rest of us will lose out as well. We need to have a wider conversation about that, particularly in England." Nicola Sturgeon's bid to hold a second Scottish independence referendum was dealt a blow when the Supreme Court ruled that she did not have the legal power to call one. However, Scotland's First Minister has vowed to press on with her campaign for independence, saying that the SNP will seek to treat the next general election as a de facto referendum. Baroness Foster acknowledged that the never-ending campaign could pose a threat to the Union if people in other parts of the UK tire of defending it. I can understand the frustration, because it seems to be a never-ending conversation around separatism, she said. But at the same time, we have to understand, I'm doing this in a semi-Scottish accent. I can't do a Northern Ireland accent, right? But at the same time, we have to understand that if Scotland or Northern Ireland left the Union, it would make the UK a far lesser place.
No, it'd make it fucking England.
People don't want to be part of the UK, then why are we keeping them in the UK? I've heard some people saying that, rather than fighting for the UK and saying, well, here's the reasons we want you to say. And she finished up by saying, "Hi now, Brian Kye." But that's another matter. That's the only Northern
Ireland. Natalie wants to sell us the value of the Union. Last time I looked, there was a 2.7 trillion deficit. Where's the value? Hey, big credit card debt, that's the value of the Union, is it? Wonderful. And we're all getting to play a disproportionate share for it. You know?
I think that people who back the Union have got this thing in their eyes of like, you know, England, Scotland, Wales, and all that being this big, powerful thing. In the 21st century, global politics, we're small, we're tiny, right? We're still important, but we're tiny.
Don't ever make a mistake of thinking we're important.
No, what I'm saying is, we're important as in we're part of the world.
Westminster's mistake. I don't even say that's the people of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland's mistake. That's Westminster's mistake. They still have this imperial mindset.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and we see this in the people of England with the Brexit vote and this harking back to sunny, better days and better climes. I don't know what planet these people live on. I lived through the 70s and the 80s. In fact, and before the 70s, the UK was a sick man of Europe. We had no marketplace to sell to, and now we're back there again because of imperial idiots.
At that time, the pension didn't really matter because people, men in particular, tended to die before they got their pension anyway. So, you know, that was it.
But, I mean, people of England were harking back to World Cups and wars and pish like that for so long now. Their heads up their bahookies. But that's part of the propaganda machine. You know, this patriotism crap and all that. But they get, because they're trying to promote it as a British thing, they're getting it wrong.
What matters is that if Scotland does become an independent nation, I can assure you it'll be, you know, gloves off in terms of what we can do as a nation. And I actually believe that Scotland has got an amazing future as an independent country.
I believe that the people of England will be liberated, free, and able to get after bloody knees after Scottish independence.
Yep.
Because when we look at it right now, in this prison that we call the UK, the constituent parts aren't even in competition with each other. That's been taken out of the game. So we can't drive each other on.
Yeah.
No, it's mental.
Yeah. That situation. Anyway, just leading on straight off the back of that article, by Snarlene Foster. Brown Cow. We've got the Telegraph also puts Sunak abandons Boris's Project Love. While Baroness Foster is urging unionists to talk about why the UK is valuable to everybody, Rishi Sunak appears to be pursuing a different strategy. The Telegraph can reveal that he has abandoned Boris Johnson's Project Love, which was designed to make a positive case for the union to persuade voters in all four nations to support it. The charm offensive on Scottish and Welsh nationalists has been ditched in favour of Mr Sunak's winder show not tell strategy. The new plan involves scaling back rhetoric on the union and focusing on the government's work in each of the four nations in the hope voters will recognise Westminster has a positive impact on their lives, i.e. paying for the councils directly, things like that. Well, Mr Sunak retains the for the union title invented by Mr Johnson in 2019, sources said he has made clear to the Cabinet that they are all expected to fulfil that role. The former Prime Minister's Downing Street Union Unit was scrapped last year, and responsibility for the devolved nations is now split between departments. Labour will meanwhile hold an event in Yorkshire tomorrow, that's today, in which the party will unveil its own proposals for saving the union, which have been drawn up by Gordon Brown. The review is expected to recommend replacing the House of Lords with an upper House of Nations and Regions, whilst also handing new powers to local regions and the devolved administrations. Well, we heard Gordie Brown telling everybody about that at the last referendum.
Up Steve Baker's comment says, what Steve's saying is, I have had two people in my circle say after the Supreme debacle, oh well, that's it, no independence, never in my lifetime. And he goes on to say he was proud to correct them and make it clear to him, no, that's not an end to it. And it won't be an end to it.
Yes.
Stay on the bus.
Yes.
You know, there's still a driver and we still have a destination to get to.
Yeah.
You know, as to Boris Johnson's love bombs, I don't remember much of that. Yeah. Well, I mean, the press are sometimes the press and crowd cuckoo one. Did they not watch Westminster every week? You know, did they not see Prime Minister's question times where the people of Scotland and the representatives are belittled week in, week out and treated like second-class citizens? These people live in quite cuckoo land. Well, you know, Sunak's going to get his ministers to come and tell us how benevolent they are and what it is they're doing on their behalf.
Well, I can say that
on their behalf is killing off the bloody disabled and creating food banks and poverty.
I can say that after the Supreme Court announcement, I did feel a little deflated and I felt a bit empty for a few days after that. But as time goes on and I've started to consider what are the options to us, really there are lots of options open to the Scottish Government and to the people, more importantly, to the people of Scotland. We don't have to lie down on our backs with our arms and legs in the air, saying that's it, we're beat. Okay?
I say, rub my tummy, please.
Well, somebody can come rub my tummy anytime they want, and I'll quite like it, I suppose. But
it's your analogy. You want to put lying on the back with their arms and legs in the air. I'm too old for that. Carry on. I need somebody to help me get back up again.
Sarah! Oh, dear.
Right, anyway, so where were we? Sunak says his ministers are going to tell us what a wonderful thing that the UK is. So far, they haven't managed. And they've had nearly 2014. So they've had 8 years to tell us the wonderful benefits of the union. We haven't heard any. In fact, in the last couple of years, all we've heard from Westminster is, you can't go because we need your bloody resources. And we got that from the Supreme Court as well.
That is one video that I do recommend that you all watch. It's on YouTube, right? And it's the one where, I forget the lass's bloody name. I keep forgetting her name. One of the SNP MPs. She asked Dominic Raab about the resources that Scotland has and all the rest of it, right? And his answer was quite simply jaw dropping. And it meant that the big lie was over. It was over and done with. No longer did we have the situation where it was poor Scotland, we were the poor relative. It now is the case where, yes, Scotland does have the majority of the natural resources of the United Kingdom. And
Boris Johnson even admitted it as well in Prime Minister's questions.
Yeah.
It was a case of, I mean, they said this to us in 2014, you're too poor too poor to stand on your own 2 feet. We asked the same question of them when it came to Brexit.
Yeah.
No. It's not the union that's a problem, it's the type of union.
Yeah, that's right. If it was akin to the European Union, which is basically it's a trading partnership, then that would be okay. But the union, the United Kingdom Union, is prescriptive. It is one parliament telling the other parts of the union, you bloody will do this, or you bloody will do that, or we're taking this, and you're going to say nothing about it. That's what's wrong.
You see, when you talk about unions and trade treaties, that's basically what the treaty of union was, a bloody trade treaty.
Yeah.
But anyway, where were we? Well, we're drifting a bit there. We tend to do that.
I don't mind. The Sunday afternoon we can drift a bit. In actual fact, it's like, reading the comments that go up, I find on these programs is absolutely wonderful, right?
Yeah, that is clear and precise. We need Scotland's assets and a trading fact. Yep, and that was it. By the way, that was including the Supreme Court judgment.
Yeah.
It would impinge on Westminster's sovereignty over us. What a bloody blinder that was.
In actual fact, how's about this? We'll just put it up.
Aye,
the big lie is dead. Hang on, we've got ads, right?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Tory MSP Murdo Fraser points out, Scotland has a third of Britain's landmass, half territorial waters, over 60% of UK fishing zones, 98% of oil reserves, 63% of natural gas, a quarter of Europe's offshore wind resources, and 90% of the UK's fresh water. Can the Deputy Prime Minister explain if his opposition to Scottish independence is because he fears the loss of these invaluable resources?
Deputy Prime Minister! She's absolutely right in what she just said. There are huge assets right across Scotland, and that's why we think we're stronger together in delivering for the people of Scotland.
So there you go. All right. The big lie is dead.
Didn't you see that splattered across the newspapers?
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course you won't, because the newspapers are largely unions. They wouldn't want such a thing splashed across, because that, in their eyes, would devalue it would beef up Scotland's position in the union. So,
it would make us a stronger partner, and where we could actually take a stance and say, no, you're not doing that with your assets and the rules. Yeah. But forcefully, they don't want the people to know that they have that capability.
Yeah.
See, trade treaties are normal between countries. All countries give up a wee bit of their sovereignty in favour of a free trade.
Now, if any of you have got the idea that it's now come out, we've got all these resources, right? And if we take them out of the UK, out of the Union, right, that all of a sudden it'll place the Union in a dreadful state. Please don't feel guilty at that. Those resources are yours because you live in Scotland and you're part of our population, right? And I'm a great believer in that the people of Scotland are genuinely
define a colony.
Yeah, define a colony.
Define a colony, David. A territory for exploitation is what they just said in the bloody comments. You just played it.
So
What did the Supreme Court say? No comment.
So please don't feel guilty about that. And I do honestly believe that people of Scotland will help the people of England. But it's like on the aeroplane, when you read that silly bit of paper at the back of the seat, and it says that if the plane loses its atmosphere, that your mask will drop down so you can breathe. And it says to you, you help yourself first before you put anybody else's breathing mask on. And that's the way it's got to be. We need to take Scotland's independence and all our resources and everything and get ourselves sorted out, and then we'll start sorting out, we'll start helping other places.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Evelyn. We'll still want to sell them the stuff that we've got. Yeah. But we want the taxes to get into Scottish Exchequer.
See, when
and
they're
the money
talking
is spent for the benefit of the people of Scotland.
No, but see when they're talking about putting up a big pipeline between Scotland and England to carry water, or putting up an electricity connector between Scotland and England, and people get angry about that, I go, no, that's brilliant. Let them do it.
Aye.
Because when we become independent, it gets metered and it gets charged for, and it's as simple as that. And they've done us a favour because we wouldn't have to build the infrastructure at that time.
But, David, technically speaking, we will have built the fucking infrastructure anyway. We all pay tax.
Yeah. Fine.
This is about the people of England seem to think that we're all lying up here pissed and junked out with heat and no paying tax.
But we are.
You know, that's the stereotype. You know, the stereotype is that they, we had this actually on the Sunday roasting, and explaining to Political X that we have a different tax system and things like that. It was, you know, they were a wee bit blown away that we make different political choices and we fund it ourselves. You know, they're absolutely blown away with that idea. But they have this idea that they pay tax and the money comes to us, but we don't pay tax. Nuts.
It's almost like the thinking of Trump of, we'll get the Mexicans to build the wall. Yeah, you remember he was talking about building the wall? Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome.
That's right. Mark, if you put up Mark's comment, Mark Telfer there, someone still needs to answer why an energy-rich country pays into the grid well southeast. Right. Yeah, Mark, that's the strangest thing in the world. What they're basically saying is that England is near and Scotland is far away. So if we need to build any infrastructure up there, it costs an awful lot more, right? Load of nonsense. Absolute load of nonsense. 8.6% of the population, but 40% of our tax is withheld. Something doesn't add up. Well, there you go.
Aye. And the JERS figures don't add up. I read them every year and make me laugh. I used to break them down, didn't I, David? I used to break them down year by year and get bored with it. I mean, try to correct 188 mistakes is pretty difficult.
Right. You know, we used to spend days writing on this stuff.
Aye, I used to do all the HMRC records and everything. You know, because HMRC are quite good at writing this stuff down and tell you how wealthy each constituent part of the UK is, region by region. And HMRC are very good at it. And then we get the figures come out in JERS and things like, well, hold on a minute. That's not what HMRC said just last month in their figures. So, you know, and I used to break it all down. I used to be quite boring on it, actually. You know.
Stephen Bankier put up a wee interesting comment I'd like to look at. How will we take back the oil and gas? Then you answer, the permits, not sales receipts. Permits can and do get negotiated every day. Independence gives Scotland the power of the pen. Simple, absolutely. You can imagine. Look, it's a straightforward thing, right? If I buy a house, hang on, David. Let me finish. If I buy a house, right? Generally, the plot of land is for freehold, and it means that I buy the house and the land it's on and all the rest of it, right? Why didn't, when Shell or Chevron or Phillips or whatever came to the UK government and said, we want to drill in there, they bought a plot of land under the sea, right? It's dead simple. What you do is you look at that plot of land as being there forevermore. You don't want to sell that to somebody. You want to give them a license to do something on it, just in case something else comes up. And as we're finding in certain areas, there are other minerals that are rather interesting coming up out of them plots that they're getting licenses for, right? And maybe if I get a chance, I'll do a bit of research into that and present that to you at some point, either as a written post or on this medium here. Okay. What's Lenny Hughes saying? Built an new electric converter and the station is closed. I've heard Liverpool Bay turbines are producing more than expected. All right.
Tidal is a way to go. I mean, we can totally understand the tides, you know, and we know they're constant. So, I mean, tidal energy is a great idea.
It's great, because wind stops and then it gets blowy again. Sometimes it gets too blowy. Sometimes sometimes you've actually got to I don't know if you've seen how the wind turbines work. They work the same as propellers and planes work. You can if a plane's engine stops for some reason.
I need to do this one day because this guy just cracks me up.
And so can the wind turbines, so that they can actually handle higher winds.
Right. Hey, but this guy's name cracks me up so bad. I'm full my cracking. I'm sure he's made that one up. Hey, the profits don't go to Westminster. The oil and gas is sold in the international markets. Now the taxes go there. We understand the profits don't go there. It's the taxes.
Can I stop keeping a straight face?
Aye. Hey, don't be rude.
Oh, HMRC. I forget how to find it, but actually the HMRC website is an amazing resource, right? And the HMRC website, it actually tells you how they're going to keep the profits flowing into the UK Treasury via tax on the oil and on the gas in the waters around about Scotland without Scotland getting any good of it. And that's written in the website. It's an open secret. You've just got to know where to look, because as you know, the HMRC tax code is one of the most convoluted in the world. There you go.
Aye, let's not go over technical. But it's true. They make money through taxation. They even created a special zone. You can go and look all this stuff up in HMRC. I've given up on that sort of thing. I did 6 or 7 years in depth publishing this stuff. So, all I say now is, you know how to use a search engine. We're going to stop treating you like idiots.
Yeah. Patrick O'Hare says they're looking at fusion as the future energy. Patrick, I read stuff on that every day.
David, you and I really have to look at this. When other bloggers are going live, there's pre-notification, and YouTube allows you to do pre-notification. And Firebird users, please do put notifications up so people get a chance to get involved. Because
can I just break in on that, right? Next Sunday, if it can be arranged, we've had communication back from Angus Brendan McNeil, SNP MP in the House of Commons, saying that he would like to come on to the Two Davies channel next Sunday at 5 p.m. He can't manage a 3 p.m. time slot, but he can manage 5 o'clock. So once that is properly put in place, and I've got definite clarification that he can attend next Sunday at 5 o'clock, I'll put out notifications starting maybe Monday, Tuesday, going all the way through the week. so everybody's got a chance of being that one. I do suggest that you tell your friends if you're interested, because I think what Angus has got to say, and don't forget Angus has been talking about a plebiscite election for a few years now, and he's been torn to bits by different parts of the SNP over this, and yet here we are, we're looking at a plebiscite election. My goodness me, this guy's got something to say, and I think it's a good idea putting him up on the Two Davies channel. So
right, so we need to get this notification stuff sorted out, right?
Yeah.
And I want to answer this one for Rosie. Why is Westminster extending the borders of Clackmannanshire? Was Clackmannanshire know the last vital vote to be read out, and the last vote which ruined us? No, I think they were the first one actually to come out. No, surprised as could say I had canvas there. But the reason why the boundaries of constituencies are being changed, it's under the Boundaries Act that's coming through. It's because they want to ensure that each constituency has got, I think it's 180,000 per MP or something like that, per head of population. So that's why the boundaries are being redrawn. But they're being redrawn in a way which means that Scotland loses three MPs.
Yeah.
Aye, 3 MPs. It's gone from 59 to 56, 3 MPs. Because there was an anomaly in the Highlands, because it's very difficult. It's huge areas that an MP would need to cover for 176,000 of population. So it was originally going to be 53, but that's why the boundaries are being redrawn, and that's the excuse for it. What's really happening is the boundaries are being redrawn in England to favour the Tory party. Well, it didn't until they made an absolute mess of things.
we're still getting comments coming up regarding giving people notification that there's a broadcast coming on. Sorry guys, if we've let you down in that respect, we both apologise on that, and we will look intently at ways of doing that. One that came up was that you can schedule streams anytime before going live. That's from former.
Aye, that's what they're talking about, scheduling streams. Because you and I have got a prescripted time on a Thursday and a prescripted time normally on a Sunday, then it's you can put it as we can schedule it and there'll be notifications put out on social media.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. And we will do something about it. Right, we get anything else in that bit of paper of yours?
Well, I could think you have to start.
Well, we've got 13 minutes to fill.
There's plenty of comments here. I mean, it's great to get interactive with the audience, actually. And I love that wee bit that Restream uses that allows us to put the comments up on screen. That's very good. And I mean, Phil's telling us here that we only get to put out 3 notices in a 24-hour period. Well, there's only 2 broadcasts out. Normally only 1 broadcast goes out to 2 Davies, and that's me during the week, and then there's only 2 times we go live. Although that might get more intense as time goes on, because there's an awful lot to talk about.
As far as Angus is concerned, it's like I am particularly looking forward to what the guy has to say. I can remember doing a post that I called Plebiscite Freedom, and I shared it amongst quite a lot of different groups, and my goodness me, I got my head ripped off over that. And Angus even came on, he commented on it, saying, look, that's the way we've got to go. It's the logical choice, right? And when we look at other countries that have become independent, apart from the ones that actually took up guns or the swords or whatever and fought for their independence, the most natural way is through an election. A referendum is still the one that is the oddball.
Yes, and the reason why a referendum is an oddball is because the people you're trying to get rid of get a say.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're having a Scottish election, then only the people who live in Scotland get a say.
Yes, that's right.
But if we're going to have to sell it the other way, and it's going to have to be a single issue election, then we're going to have to make sure that that single issue is at the forefront of everybody's mind. Because as we said earlier, elections are multi-issue normally. So we're going to have to really, us and the Greens are going to have to work really, and the Alpha Party, whoever, we're going to have to work really, really hard if it's going to be a UK general election to keep the people's minds focused on the fact it's about the Constitution and it's not about the crap that Labour's going to throw at us and things like that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I guess it's all.
We almost have to make it clear it's about democracy, because our democratic rights have basically been shredded. You know, it doesn't matter what we vote for, we're not getting it. You know, I mean, 5 mandates, 5 no's, and then a Supreme Court ruling. To be told our democracy means nothing.
Yeah.
We can say we want anything we want, but unless Westminster says we can have it, then we can't have it. Wow.
Yeah. And this is also the other side that I really, really must mention, is that an awful lot of people will look at Nicola Sturgeon and go, look, we should get rid of her because, well, she's had all these mandates and all the rest of it, and she hasn't done a damn thing. In actual fact, when you look back on what Nicola Sturgeon has been doing, you've seen her being abroad quite a few times, and I don't think she packed her bucket and spade for going abroad. She was going abroad to talk to other leaders about our future. And Nicola Sturgeon has been awfully careful to make sure that when Scotland does hit the world stage, that Scotland is received as an obvious partner for all these countries to do business with.
I want to address this one, David, because according to Sarah Sawyers, any country that got independence got it through a liberation movement. We have a liberation movement. It's called the Yes Movement.
That's right. Yeah, hello.
It's the Yes Family. Hi, guys. Hello, family.
Hello.
Oh. Sometimes I really do wonder what people think we're doing as a movement, as a family.
No, it's down to the fact that the new idea think that they've invented everything from the word dot, right? And that's human. That is, of course it is, right? Doesn't make it right.
I mean, if we're talking about liberation movements, then what is the Yes Movement, not a liberation movement?
Correct, aye, yeah.
And I've been part of that movement, you've been part of that movement for over a dozen years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, sometimes I'm just gobsmacked at some of this stuff.
Yeah.
I've been campaigning for independence for 25 years, maybe more.
Evelyn's put up a nice wee comment. I think Nicola is circling the wagons by getting Ian back to assist her, right? And to be honest with you, yeah, I can see it. There is a hand. Yeah. And in actual fact, to get Ian Blackford, we're talking about, to look after the business side and all the rest of it, is actually, it's pretty shrewd, because the guy has been heavily involved in business in the past and banking and all the rest of it, right? So he'd be a powerful advocate for that, yeah. So,
but listen, the people will have a say. The people are Democrats.
Yeah.
It's Westminster that's no democratic.
Yeah. The
Supreme Court just ruled that we don't have the inalienable human right of self-determination.
Well, wow. I think after the video that we put on of Dominic Raab answered quite openly that without Scotland we'd be gubbed, right?
We're a colony, but exploitation.
I think that's the truth of what's happening here.
We could take that stuff into any international court and it would very simply be classed as oppression, or you would be defined as a colony for exploitation.
If you're
it's oppression. We spoke about this. It's oppression when you have something that you want to do, and you have expressed an opinion, but you're told it doesn't matter. Then you're being oppressed. I behaved towards my wife for that and end up in jail. It'd be called controlled behaviour.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're part of a democratic union and treaty with another country, and you are denied democracy, you're a
Paul's right. Paul's right. Norway did do it through democracy. But they did it through their parliament. No somebody else's parliament telling them they could or couldn't.
Something I haven't read about, but I know obviously it happened, was Iceland was part of Denmark, and Iceland therefore broke away from Denmark politically and economically. I really must do a bit of research on that. I think there'd be a wee tale to tell there because they were much smaller than Denmark.
Yeah. There's a lot of good examples out there. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with what Sarah says. I'm just pointing out that actually that liberation movement already exists.
I don't. Sarah was on here. We had a great time with her. The lassie put her points and all the rest of it. And then also it came down to the fact we were asking about the claim of right and all the rest of it. And so we'd still need a vote, wouldn't we? Yes.
So
this
idea that this liberation movement has just been invented or it's just coming into being via what they're doing, it's just wrong. I've been campaigning for independence for 25 bloody years.
Yes.
You and I have been at it for 10 years together.
The Scottish UN delegation effectively brought about the situation where Scotland could have its own parliament, and Wales, of course, right? But you've got to look at Salvo taking this to the United Nations. How long do you think that's going to take? That's not something that's going to happen overnight. There's not going to be suddenly somebody stand up in the UN and go blah, 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 blah. And then the UN goes, right, okay, we're going to do this and this and this. No, it's not. It's going to take a long time.
The Supreme Court was set up to counter any indie challenge. There's been some laws written over the last few years to do that and all. I warned everybody about this, the internal security bill and things like that, where it makes it illegal for anybody to threaten the social fabric of the UK or the military safety of the UK or the economic viability of the UK. So a constituent part leaving the UK would do exactly that. So the laws were written so that a constituent part of the UK couldn't do it. Part of the Supreme Court ruling was done to what they said about it would impinge on Westminster's sovereignty over Scotland. What it meant is its control of its assets.
Yes.
And the internal security of Westminster's coffers.
But we'll do this on Thursday. I suggest we pick apart that Supreme Court announcement and we do it line by line because the people of England should be hearing this.
Jim Stevens says that Salvo will take it to the United Nations. Best of luck to them.
Good. And see if they create. See if all of a sudden we find ourselves independent. I'll worship them. I'll go. Absolutely.
It's good to have as many irons in the fire as you want, but if they think that 100,000 position, even a population of 5.4 million and a voting population of 4 million people is going to make the UN sit up and take notice, I'm afraid they're wrong. I mean, you've all heard me say this before. I'm dealing in realities here.
We've got to be practical. Always practical. You've got to look at, if somebody says we're going to take something to the UN, brilliant, absolutely superb.
But don't expect yourself to take notice.
Yeah, you don't expect all of a sudden Scotland to become independent. Anytime somebody talks about taking something to court or taking something to the UN, it's like all you're doing is adding years into the process. What we need is something where we can vote and it expresses the will of the Scottish people and we become independent. How's about that for an idea? We get the
UN and say, well, you recognise us as a better question.
Correct. And that's the reason why Nicola Sturgeon hasn't just fired in straight away, right, referendum, right, that's it, okay, or UDI, and that's it, because it has to be seen as something that the international community can support us on and come out and say, we recognise the sovereign, independent country of Scotland. And
we're being quite lucky because we're getting a lot of support for the EU.
Yeah.
And we are quite lucky because people in Europe are looking at what happened here on these islands. And as I say, I'm starting to see a reaction in England and Wales as well. They're looking at what happened in these islands 2 weeks ago as horrific. You know, they see it as anti-democratic. You know, and people
Now,
have for democracy, David.
Yeah, but
You know?
whether or not the people in England have perhaps seen different headlines to the ones that we've seen. Now that does happen, and that could be whereby certain of the newspapers, like the Mail and the Express and all the rest of it, have gone, we beat them, and it's come across clearly as being we beat the Scots and that's it. And it's like these people are maybe reacting to that and going, no, that's wrong. You know, it's
Right, that's what's happening in that road. But as I say, the other thing that's going on is they're starting to realise the implications of that ruling on other parts of the United Kingdom. And say, but you say, we'll break it down on Thursday, because I don't think people really vote what was said. You know, and we'll play it again so people don't make a mistake. They can't misinterpret what the man said.
Yeah.
You know, we'll actually play it because Lord Reid was in and out in 3 minutes and 43 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he didn't even. Anybody that watched that knows that man wasn't pleased with what he was saying.
Yeah.
You know.
There you go. We are now 1 minute over our hour.
But before we end, I want to put this up because it is quite important, and he's probably quite right. It might be because normally we look at liberation movements from the outside with a historical mindset rather than a view from the inside of one. That's, you know, that might well be it. Yeah. But as I say, the idea that the Scottish liberation movement, I've been part of it for 25 years. David and I have been working on it together for 10 years. How can that? We're called the West family for a reason.
Oh, that money we threw away.
I'd better things to do with 68,000 quid. Our country. Feck knows how much you spent, you bam, I couldn't but you know, the idea that the liberation movement is just now being created is nuts.
Yeah.
Have I wasted the last 25 years of my bloody life?
Yes.
You know what, David, I'm beginning to think so sometimes.
We've got no problem with Alba, Salvo, you should name them all, right? They're all pushing a hope in the same direction, right?
Yes.
And I would certainly hope they're all still part of that Yes family, because that's the real
liberation movement.
The real liberation movement, right?
Well, these are all part of it. These are all part of it. So you know that we've been at it for years.
Yeah. And all these people are at the moment, and you know, good luck to them, and I do mean that, right? Is they are voices from within that saying, we're going to do this. Good, get ahead, do it. Right? You know, if somebody else says, we're going to go around and chap out the doors and talk to people, right, well, go, do it, right?
Brilliant.
You know, so...
We have a petition, and everybody sign it. That's what it's got.
We all contribute in our own way, right? And if you decide the way that you can contribute is going chapping doors and talking to people on their doorsteps, then good luck to you. And I mean that. You brilliant.
Yep. We've all done it. 2012 to 2014. She and I must have chapped thousands of doors, put out thousands of leaflets. Sure, Colin wrote that bloody printer. Geo ran all over the country with the leaflets and all that, you know. Yeah. So the idea that liberation movement, that is the Yes family. We are that liberation movement. We've been at it for years.
Oh, do you know who I miss? I really miss Geo.
Aye.
Geo Emery was just brilliant. He really was, honestly. He's
tireless campaign, and his help with Facebook was brilliant and all, because he was a representative.
But look at us, guys. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and it's like they might not be giants in the sense of you look at
heroes, but these guys were giants. Guys like Bill Glenn and Mitch Kilbride and Geo Emery and everybody else out there has been part of this liberation movement. And
even Jacobite McLachlan was a giant as well, you know. So,
but the idea that a liberation movement, that we already exist, people.
Yeah.
We're called the Yes Family. We're the Yes Movement. We've been marching for years. We've been talking to each other for years. We've been broadcasting for years. We're already in existence.
And even if there's somebody there, maybe in the Alba movement, that don't consider themselves as being part of that anymore, for goodness sake,
Come back.
Come back. It's like you're important to us, and you are. You know, I mean, I was having a bit of a laugh with them at the last do that we had at Freedom Square, and the Alba were set up at the back, and they were selling teas and coffees and things like that. And I said, any discount for an SNP member? And they all laughed, and it's that thing of keeping the humour going. It should never be the point where we hate each other. Shouldn't
we don't hate each other. That's the great thing about the Yes Movement is we can disagree. Our disagreements are over-egged by the propaganda machine to try and look as if we're fractious and falling to bits. But, I mean, I talk about the Alba Party and political realities, but they're all my pals. The members are friends of mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. Yeah. And I don't mean the party or the people. I just mean to the greater Yes Movement, you know, whether you're Green or SNP or Alpha or we used to have Labour for Yes back in the day and all, I campaigned with them. You know,
you realise now you're eating in. That's now 6 minutes you're eating out. Somebody having their tea or whatever. Right?
I've got work to go to. I was enjoying myself, David.
Yeah, again, really thank you guys. You know, and it's like thank you for your comments. Absolutely brilliant. I love reading the comments and reading them out because you know you've all got a point to make. You're all important, right? So I'll say thank you from David myself. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell and maybe give us a like. You know, and we don't want your money. What we'd like is for if you like what we do, you like what we say, share the bugger, right? Also, if you're going to share from David's timeline, give us 5 minutes just till David switches it across to being public. Otherwise, it'll when you put it out, it will say you can't see this. All right.
Attachment unavailable as well. We'll see.
So I'll say the final words.
Right.
Bye, Davey.
Bye, Davey.